أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. O Lord, provide us the goodness in this world and in the next, and protect us from falling into neglect and heedlessness. وصلى اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. We will proceed with the Supreme Sign on page 147. And this is about walking through, traversing the universe with the author as a voyager, traveler into different realms that we see in existence right now. So we've seen the realm of the sea, the realm of the mountains, realm of the galaxies, cosmos, and then we started journeying within the human being themselves. So how within ourselves we are equipped with all the tools and human faculties to really discern what the reality of this universe points to. And with that, we need to confirm our conclusions and seeking answers to our questions from resources available to us in the form of messengership, the institution of prophethood, and people who have ascertained the reality of this universe and their existence in terms of what does it mean at the end of the day to conclude a necessary existent one, to which everything here points to. And last week, briefly, we went over in terms of how anyone who's really seeking the truth in terms of the works that are available for us that claims to unveil the reality of what this existence points to, how although these work may seem a little different in their ways, or may differ in their outlook, or may differ in how they're executed, but at the end of the day, everyone is in agreement with how this universe points to a necessarily existent one in unity, when all of humanity utilize their intellect and the human side, which we refers to as heart and spirit, then we definitely come to the same conclusion. And so we left off here last week, but we sort of touched upon a little bit how there comes with the truths of revelation and inspiration that it's, so I think we need to touch upon revelation and inspiration today. I'm not gonna get into the paragraph right now. I just want to check in with people here if anybody wants to share any of their takeaways from what we covered last week thus far. So it will be also good that we can brush up a little bit and warm up to really jump into the subject. Please feel free to do so.
So to add to your introduction, so we started looking as a traveler in this world into how do we understand the world of life or the world of the unseen. This is translated by us, whoever is the owner of this world, the one who creates, the one who is the one source of existence, with all the conclusions, as Faria was saying, pointed to La ilaha illallah, that there is no God but God, to whose necessary existence in unity. And everything that is testifying points to the fact that there is no God but He, and everything comes from Him, as Him being the absolute source. So now whoever is in charge needs to talk and communicate with the individuals who are conscious and who have the ability to reason and to think about things, and who are seeking guidance. Mm-hmm. So there's this need that is coming along, and it makes sense basically for the need that, hey, you made me like this, but now you must tell me, you must guide me also, so that I know what my purpose in life is, and all these things that I'm going through, all this witnessings that I'm doing that point to you, I need more confirmation, basically. No, I need to know more about it.
Yeah.
So there might be some things that I'm missing. There might be, some qualities, some things that are hidden from me, but I need you to tell me if you made me here.
Alhamdulillah, thank you so much, Asim. That was a good recap as well. So now I'm thinking, let's just briefly read the previous paragraph, and then we'll jump into it, inshallah. So, bismillah. Then that traveler, looking closely at the world of the unseen and voyaging in it with his intellect and his heart, knocked inquisitively on the door of that world, thinking to himself, what does this world have to say? The following occurred to him. It is to be clearly understood that behind the veil of the unseen is one who wants to make himself known through all these numerous finely adorned artifacts full of art in this corporeal manifest world, and to make himself loved through these infinite sweet and decorated bounties, and to make known his hidden perfections through these innumerable miraculous and skillful works of art, and who does this by act rather than speech, and by making himself known by the tongue of disposition. Since this is so, of his certainty he will speak and make himself known and loved through speech and utterance, just as he does through deed and state. In which case, from his manifestations, we must know him in respect to the world of the unseen. Whereupon he entered that world with his heart and saw the following with the eye of his intellect. The truth of revelations prevails at all instants over all parts of the world of the unseen, with the most powerful manifestation. It's interesting. There comes with the truths of revelation and inspiration, proceeding from the one all-knowing of the unseen, a testimony to his existence and unity, far stronger than testimony of the universe and created beings. There comes with the truths of revelation and inspiration, proceeding from the one all-knowing of the unseen, a testimony to his existence and unity far stronger than testimony of the universe and created beings. He does not leave himself, his existence and his unity only to the testimony of his creatures. Rather, he speaks with a pre-eternal speech consonant with his own being. The speech of the one who is all present and all seeing everywhere, with his knowledge and power, is also endless. And just as the meaning of his speech makes him known, so does his discourse make himself known together with his attributes. Should we pause here? Yeah, because this is loaded paragraph. Interesting. So, I mean, just the previous paragraph was mentioning about how this necessarily existent one makes himself known through the universe and all the qualities that we interact with. And so now it's as if there's some sort of like comparison going on with the witness that I can observe in the universe, like versus a witness from the realm of the unseen. I'm not sure if I really caught this second sentence right. There comes with the truths of revelation and inspiration, proceeding from the all-knowing of the unseen, a testimony to his existence and unity far stronger than testimony of the universe and created beings. So perhaps just within the universe, so the universe cannot answer the questions that the human being is seeking. All it does is it points me to this realm of the unseen, and so I'll be perplexed if I don't get some news from somewhere that brings me message about what this universe points to, or the realm of the unseen. I know I'm very wordy.
I didn't get it, but
Ali Murmur has his hand up.
So let me see if I understand this a little bit.
Okay.
So first sentence, the truth of revelations prevails at all instants over all parts of the world of the unseen with the most powerful manifestation. So there's some source, there's some being that must communicate. I mean, I didn't get that first sentence, but the second one makes more sense that you see, based on my journey, I've seen the universe witnessing and telling me that there is a source of existence behind the existence of the universe and the qualities that I'm getting. Now I'm saying that there must be whoever is showing me that signs must also communicate with me as well.
Oh,
so there's
I get it.
And that should be much more stronger. So there must be revelation and inspiration available to me. So the revelation being, there must be somebody employed who gets the message from him, and then inspiration, the other beings must also be be able to hear from him or get his communication as well.
That's thank you. Make more sense. So now I need the communication like one-on-one within my being. So yeah, alhamdulillah, that's amazing. So thank you so much for sharing this. And Brother Ali has his hand up. Thank you for your patience. Go ahead, Brother Ali.
No, it was a pleasure to listen to you. Yeah, because you prepared the ground for me to go into the subject. First, although we read the first paragraph last week, but we haven't really spent enough time on it, and we didn't get the line of reasoning in that paragraph. I didn't get it, so I will go back to there. Now, in order to enter into the world of unseen, what does it mean? Now, we have been looking at the universe with our eyes. Of course, we were using our intellect in order to analyze what we have been seeing, hearing in this world, experiencing physically in this world. Now, we use intellect, but now, rather than using our eyes and 5 external senses, now the man understood that, look, since I concluded some existence of something as a result of my physical interaction with the universe, now I can enter into this conclusion, which is the source of existence of the universe, not physically interactable, physically tangible, that I can really see and touch it, etc. So, of course, here human beings can only concentrate about the content of this. This the word of the unseen means really word of the creator, absolute being. Now, how can I enter there? Physically impossible. So intellectually, as far as I can grasp it is necessary existence, and also with my heart, it means all my feelings, whether they really feel comfortable in communicating with a being who is not within the universe, but as to be the source of existence of the universe. So is there a such thing? I understood from my previous stages of journey. Now, yeah, there must be something. I am convinced about it, but let me communicate with him through my senses. So through this communication, he concludes from his previous experiences that the universe points to its creator, and this creator obviously seems to have created the universe with the intention that he can be knowable, he can be known, because he's introducing himself through his art. So after coming to this stage, he said also with his heart, his feelings, yeah, am I happy with this creator as he created me and the universe, and established a relationship between and the universe in the perfect adjustment, compatibility, and benefit, and let me benefit from the universe freely? I love it. And even a person gives me a simple present, like helva. I'm referring to something. So, like a small packet of helva, I'm very pleased. Let alone the universe and all the productions of the universe. How much I should be pleased with this one who presents the universe to me as a gift. Of course. So he said, the traveler concluded that not only he makes himself known to me, but also he makes himself loved through this act of generosity, creation and generosity. So as a result, he continues to reason that, look, he is presenting himself and communicating with me with at the emotional or within an emotional uh, relationship. So through his act of the creation here in the universe, I want also now to hear his voice and then to see him, if it is possible. Of course, it is not possible, but become because absolute cannot be observable with the limited created being, but at least become closer to him, have a close relationship with him. How is it possible? But he can speak to me in such a way that from his speech also I can conclude that he is my master, he is my owner. As through his act, I concluded that through his action, I concluded that he is the owner of the universe and also owner of this universe. So, owner of me, sorry. Now, he must speak. Why shouldn't he? Because inevitably, we can conclude from our reality that he enabled me, he created me with the ability to speak, to understand from the speech and come to the conclusion, and also realize that this speech is coming from a real existent one. Although I cannot comprehend him, and definitely when you are speaking to your, let's say, your mother, which is the most compassionate example of the creation, so mother, and you hear his voice. And when you hear his voice, can you make sure that she is communicating with you and she exists there, although you don't see her? But you hear the meaningful speech delivered to you through a veil. Veil of what? Veil of telephone, let's call it, machine. So, or the waves. So, why shouldn't he speak now? So, when he speaks, your heart, when you hear your heart, if you are sure that this speech is your mother's speech, first, do you feel comfortable to come to the conclusion that it is your mother speaking? She exists, she is alive, she is in contact with you, she is taking care of you, she is responding you. Look, now the spectrum of becoming aware of the existence of the creator or existence of the creator of the universe. Use the analogy of speech to your mother, and how much you are sure that your mother exists, your mother is alive, your mother is really taking care of you in a compassionate way through his speech. Your mother is really demonstrating her interest in you in order to give you good advice. So you love your mother, although you don't physically experience her existence now. So it is just a metaphor, of course. I mean, you know that from your previous experience, it is your mother. But this is just an uh, analogy. Now, analogy is to be used only from one perspective. So, this speech makes makes me feel more secure about the act that I am experiencing, about the act that I am experiencing out there, because the act is something physically appearing there, but Yes, it includes the message, it includes the meaning, it includes the message, but this message is the result of my interpretation. Now, yes, I am interpreting the message I receive through the existence of the universe, through my intellect, of course, but is it really, my interpretation is really true? But now the second paragraph I am jumping into, that was under discussion, what makes me even surer in my conclusion that not the content of the speech that I interpret, but the very existence of the speech. If I'm sure that this is the creator's speech to any uh, uh, extent, yeah, this is the creator speaking to me, but I don't really understand every details in his speech. That understanding of the content of the speech in details is a different subject. But in this paragraph, the second paragraph we read today, is concentrating on the fact that the creator of the universe is speaking. What does it mean? No, I have to emphasize again the importance of the content of the speech, which is my interpretation. But seeing that this is the speech of the creator, I understand roughly, although I am not really penetrating into the deep meaning of it. But this is the speech of my creator. He is introducing himself to me. This fact makes me feel much, much more confident in my conclusion that this creator, this absolute being, definitely exists, must exist. Look at I hear his speech, although I cannot get everything in it. That's another subject. So he says, look, the last sentence here, his discourse makes himself known together with his attributes. Now, that's it. Now, the speech that I hear makes him known to me. It means makes me feel feel secure that he is there. He is there. Really, he is there and communicating with me. But in this speech, he introduces even more details of his attributes. It means he is introducing himself in a larger scale. Let's say your mother says, uh, you know, you were a baby, I took care of you. You say that since I'm alive, of course, you took care of me. I'm with you always, as far as I remember, back to my uh, very young ages. Okay, you have been taking care of me. She may add something. Not only I take care of you, I protect you. Not only I protect you, I prepare you for your future, so that you will be you will be living a comfortable life for you, for yourself. And also, I am preparing all the needs that you will need, all the needs that you have for your future life. For example, when you grow and get married and also have a family, you need a separate house for your individual family life. So, I bought a house for you, prepared for you, so that when you get to a certain age, I am going to let you live in this house. Everything will be ready for you. And also, look, I am preparing everything that will go through you need for your education. Now, what do they do in America? As soon as the child is born, this is a general attitude among the settled families, although percentage of it is very low, but whatever it is, still, it is a tradition. They opened an account for education, university education, whatever, or private school education funds. So she tells you that, look, I have I have opened an account for you. You don't know, but I did it. Explains all the qualities she has as far as your mother and yourself, relationship between your mother and yourself is concerned. That is the speech of the creator reveals his attributes to you. Because if it didn't release, if it reveals or adds, if we didn't add into the content of the speech, we may not know that he has. Example, I'm using the example. She has opened an account. She has bought a house for you, referring to the hereafter, prepared for you and for your family life. We wouldn't know. So these kind of uh, attributes, qualities of the creator are being included in the speech, and we can get to know him much better through the speech. Although first, through his act, it was necessary to make sure that such a being exists. After this, through the speech, we can get even in a larger scale about the certainty of his existence in our mind, intellect, and heart. Thank you.
Mashallah. Thank you so much, Brother Ali. That was very enlightening. And alhamdulillah that we went from the prior paragraph, which is really focusing on the act of creation, makes me conclude the necessarily existent one. And then from the speech of my creator, it helps me be certain of his existence within all my human feelings and spirit. This was, alhamdulillah. I'm sure there's, if anyone wants to share more, feel free to do that. But I'm just trying to also digest what was shared. It's a beautiful, actually, way of journeying in this universe also. Does anybody else want to share their enlightenment and takeaways? All right. So let's proceed in our journey with the next paragraph. The traveler recognized that the truth, reality, and existence of revelation has been made plain to the point of being self-evident by the consensus of 100,000 prophets, peace be upon them, by the agreement among their proclamations concerning the manifestation of divine revelation by the evidences and miracles contained in the sacred books and heavenly pages, which are the guides and exemplars of the overwhelming majority of humanity, confirmed and assented to by them, and are the visible fruits of revelation. He understood further that the truth of revelation proclaims 5 sacred truths. I'll read this again. The traveler recognized that the truth, reality, and existence of revelation has been made plain to the point of being self-evident by the consensus of 100,000 prophets, peace and blessings be upon them, by the agreement among their proclamations concerning the manifestation of divine revelation, by the evidences and miracles contained in the sacred books and heavenly pages, which are the guides and exemplars of the overwhelming majority of humanity, confirmed and assented to by them, and are the visible fruits of revelation. He understood further that the truth of revelation proclaims 5 sacred truths. I feel that this paragraph pretty much sums up what the traveler has been journeying thus far into going from the different realms of creation to prophethood and coming to the self as well, going from the act of creation to the actual speech of the creator of the universe. And yes, that's and pretty much it. But if anybody wants to share out anything from this paragraph, feel free to do that.
Okay, so one more thing, right? The traveler recognized that the truth, reality, and existence of revelation has been made plain. So now that he's seeing this, there must be speech, there must be revelation, must be a discourse that must introduce me to the one who is taking care of me, the one who is taking care of the universe. It is also further confirmed by, as he says, many prophets that brought who were spoken to, where the speech revelation came to them. So, and when he says made plain to the point of being self-evident by the consensus, so it gives me further assurance that, yeah, there must be, he must speak and I must also, there must be that speech of the absolute one. And also it must be plain, like it must tell me about my reality, and it should be easy for me to follow. It should be within the capacity I'm made with, everything. Like there must be the guides and the exemplars of every humanity is being guided by that as well, according to whatever the agreement and the proclamations about that whoever is the owner of the universe is speaking and giving that news about him, introducing him and his attributes. And this was interesting. So the exemplars of, so every humanity can confirm and assent, perform their, look at the message, the revelation, whatever the speech is, and they can interact with it, confirm it, and assent to it. That is what the revelation brings to the human being, and to the traveler as we are. We should be able to confirm and assent on that, to that revelation. I mean, we discussed what ascension is, when you're really getting close to understanding and seeing the reality of yourself and the existence that you are in. So he understood further that the truth of revelation proclaims 5 sacred truths. Okay, then he will, I guess, further explain how this revelation proclaims the different truths. But if anybody else, I guess, wants to talk on this paragraph.
Sure, yeah, but that was very enlightening in terms of it provides further assurance in terms of what my humanity requires. I mean, it's really speaking to my spirit. So, so it helps, reveals further truth, which the author is going to lay out. But yeah, let's see if anyone wants to make any comments thus far. Okay. So the first, to speak in accordance with man's intellects and understandings, known as divine condescension to the minds of man, is a form of divine descent. To speak in accordance with man's intellects and understandings, known as divine condescension to the minds of man, is a form of divine descent. It is a requirement of God's dominicality that he endows all of his conscious creatures with speech, understands their speech, and then participates in it with his own speech. Interesting. I think I understand, but I can't express it out. But the last part is interesting. So the speech of one source of existence must speak to the addressee or the human being according to how much they have ascertained their capacity as well.
According to what they've been given, their intellects and reasoning ability, their human side, according to how much meaning one can understand.
Okay. Is a form of divine descent, as in, how we say nazala, like coming down. Revelation is coming down. So it comes down based on how much one is understanding, one's intellect, like you said, and everything.
Because the nature of the speech is absolute, right? And the universe and everything created is in a manifested, created realm. So there's which is like the veil to the absolute. So now, how does an absolute communicate with created beings? So that's the question.
Yeah. And the answer is
so that's why, as you were saying, that in accordance with, as the author also says, based on whoever so conscious human beings are looking for meaning, and they can only understand according to what their capacity, what their being allows them to. There's something that I cannot, I'm not made to exceed anything that is not within my capacity. Like my capacity is maybe to lift maybe 100 pounds. I cannot lift maybe 1 ton. So that's the
okay.
But now the absolute has to condescend according to my level of understanding. That's what divine condescension to the minds of men.
Yeah,
because I can only get some ideas, I can only make the conclusion that there must be an absolute, but I cannot understand absolute. But I can understand there must be an absolute, but I don't know what that absolute is. That's why I think on the Monday classes we're discussing how the use of those literary devices like metaphors, similes, is necessary for that communication. Because absolute speech, talking to human beings which are confined to this universe, to the created realm. Some thoughts.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. This is
I'm sure
interesting.
Other people, many people should have some comments on this.
Yes, Brother Ali, go ahead, please.
Now, in this paragraph, addition is an addition to what is said, what Asman you said. Now, the previous, not the previous, the earlier, the one before previous paragraph, it concluded that his discourse makes himself known together with his attributes. Now, I think the author is now saying that the following paragraph, there are lots of books claim to be the God's word and guided human beings throughout the history of humanity, and the Torah, and also the Bible, as much as we can, we have. Although, in fact, we have Bibles, the speech that Jesus delivered to him, to his community. But unfortunately, the 4 Bibles which are known famous, and officially they call it canonical Bibles, declared as canonical under the authority of a emperor, which is the history of is so horrible, in order to establish the Eastern Roman Empire. Constantine wanted to declare his own authority as against the Western Roman Empire, and wanted to, that history you know better than I do, roughly I know, as far as I remember now from my very young age of readings, they wanted to gain the support of the religious authorities. That time they were the most influential power of support, or source of support actually, in the political and social life of the people. The church was everything, source of education, source of knowledge, source of leadership, everything. So wanted to gain their sympathy or support. He authorized certain people, scholars, and at the end, it's very famous in 325, I think, after AD. It means common era, 325, I think, 24 or 25, not quite. Doesn't matter really. Sometimes after 300 years after Jesus, 325. Okay, Council of Nicaea or Nicaea, which is in Anatolia, Western Anatolia. So I have been there, visited the very church first established in Nicaea, established by the followers of, sincere followers of Jesus' message. You can imagine how beautiful it is. There is no picture, there is no statue, there is nothing at all. It's a very, very old building. Now it is really preserved as a museum. But that is a museum. It is not a museum, but itself is a museum. It's historical, and it is so great to see simplicity of the building. Looks like our mosques, really. The present day, not the very decorated mosques. They are not mosques, really. They are the signs of emperors' ambitions. The Blue Mosque or Süleymaniye Mosque in Anatolia, or some other Ottoman architectures. To me, they are not mosques. They are ugly. They look physically beautiful, but they don't represent the Quranic teaching. completely contrary to the meaning of the Quran. As to be, a place must be so simple that the people pray so that they will really concentrate on their worship of God. Oh, I am jumping from one point to another. I'm sorry. So, unfortunately, Bible is not available among these four canonical version that presented. This is not it is not the speech of God, really. There are some pieces in it, but this is what the soul. What? Come on, the name didn't come up. The soul. Oh, help me. Paul. This is called not Christianity. Now, in the word, we have to bear in mind, it's especially important nowadays to notice this. When we say Christianity, it is not Christianity. It is a Pauline religion, Pauline interpretation of Jesus' teaching mixed up with the Paul's previous experiences as to be the rabbi, Jewish rabbi, and as it is, Hamim says, excuse me, I'm sorry, I messed up. Just no, this one, okay. Somebody wrote something, not the Protestants, no, it is a later development, no. The very original development, Pauline, it means, goes back to the time of Jesus, period of Jesus himself, Paul. But he wasn't a disciple of Jesus. He was a rabbi. We have to know this very, very rough historical background. He was a Jewish rabbi, and also very conservative Jewish rabbi. He was at the Council of Nicaea. No, he was much earlier than this. He taught certain version of interpretation of Jesus' teaching from the perspective of his reaction to certain denomination of Judaism. Very conservative, most orthodox, concentrating on the laws only. But he was rejected by his own people because he said Jesus is saying something true. They rejected it, and he developed a sense of reaction. And then he started teaching a religion with no Sharia and only based on his understanding of Jesus' teaching from hearing, not from himself, and adapted what he heard to pagan European, especially Southern European, but later on slowly into the Northern European populations. So this Pauline Christianity is not Christianity. Christianity is something to do with the Christ. It's not Christ. Somehow partially inspired but distorted version of Christ's teaching. Why distorted? Because you see that all the books was written under the influence of his teaching. The four books were almost aligned with each other and confirmed by this Constantine, the king, that then became emperor and the emperor of the Eastern Roman Empire. So this is these books are written under the influence of the Pauline Christianity. That is why we have to go back to the original teachings of Christ, Jesus Christ, which is somehow preserved, but they are under the control of Vatican, and they are not publicized. Only the Gospel of Thomas and somehow disputed form of Gospel of not Thomas, the other Barnabas. They were disciples of Jesus. So in their writing, there is no story of Jesus's life, etc., but teachings. Now, the difference between in Islamic tradition, Sirah books and the Quran. Sirah books represents the four canonical gospels that the people hold in their hands as the Bible. It is not the Bible. It's a Sirah books written from the perspective of Pauline Christianity, Pauline understanding of Christianity, emphasized and put into the center Jesus, put Jesus into the center, and sacrifice, confession, and original sin. In the teachings of Jesus, in the other books, as far as I can see, they are called, let me see, you can search on internet as much as possible, you can get it. Let me, quells, or quells. It is something to do with Latin language or Greek language. In French, I think those people among us, Feriha, and also know French. Quel, yeah, quel, but in English it's not pronounced as quel, quells or something, scriptures or quells Bibles. You can try to search it. I did that, I found it. Some things you can find there, they are beautiful. Now, why I am going into this detail, although it wasn't necessary, I'm sorry for this, I'm wasting your time, but somehow needs a little bit background. Why Torah is out there, but not Bible is out there. But in fact, it is out there, but not well known. Only the specialist people know it. And they dare not to say anything against the canonical Bibles because the public should. Kell Bible, is it okay? Did you find it? Did you find it?
Yes, it's the Gospel of Q.
Yeah, Gospel of Q, whatever it is. I don't know how to pronounce it. Yeah, these are not canonical Bibles, Gospels, because they are not famous, because they don't put Jesus in the center generally, and they don't make emphasis of sacrifice, crucifixion, because crucifixion matter can be written only after the death of Jesus, according to Christianity. How can they be the description of Jesus himself? It is the description of later generation. It is obvious. If I die in a certain way, if you find a description of it and emphasizes on it, Jesus sacrifices, etc., and combining it with the teachings of Jesus himself is irrelevant, because I was there at that time. How can I present to you this idea, putting the Jesus in the center, sacrificing himself in order to save the life of the other people? But yes, he sacrificed his mission, sacrificed himself through his mission like all other prophets in order to save the people, but through his mission. So the message that he conveyed to the people is the source of salvation, not the himself is, or himself being crucified and sacrificed himself is the source of salvation. Oh, it is called something, but I don't remember the terminologies. What does it say here? What were the two hidden gospels? Barnabas, Thomas. No, go and check Gospel of Q. There are there, but Barnabas, they don't like it because it looks like very Muslim saying. But Gospel of Thomas is excellent as well, except one verse, as far as I studied it. I don't know. I don't remember the details. It were, I don't know, 30, 20, 30, no, 20, 25 years ago when I was interested in learning Christianity and Judaism, roughly as a layman. So anyways, Jesus' teaching is there as well. What do they mean? Not only the Quran is the evidence of God's speech. In human history, there are others as well. There are others as well. As far as historically preserved in the history and reached to our age are concerned, the and somehow, according to some people, there are others as well, but they are minority views. Somehow, representing God's speech, gospel, teachings of Jesus, maybe this gospel, not the gospel, Torah, teachings of Jesus, and the Quran. So both of them, or all of them, shows that God is speaking. They are the fruits of revelation, as the text says. They are visible fruits of revelation. What happens now in the first? Let's come to the text. Now I am just scattering everything. So the text said, through his speech, he speaks, he explains his attributes. In the first, the attribute of dominicality, which is rububiyah. That is not, dominicality is not really, the word dominicality does not really represent rububiyah, but how else one can translate it? I would rather translate it rububiyah coming from uh, uh, Rab, original word is Rabba. So it means in Arabic, and also in Turkish, in Urdu, terbiye. I think you are familiar with it. Terbiye means education, training, preparing the human beings for their future. So this word, rububiyya, comes from terbiye. So let's say that it is a requirement of God's teachership or sustainership, sustaining and teaching, education. God is taking care of education, the need of education of human beings is revealed from this divine condescension. Divine condescension, as you discussed this point, it was perfect and enough. I don't have much to add to it. I agree with you. So divine condescension demonstrates that really in his speech, automatically God reveals his quality of teachership, if you like, as a teacher, quality of being a teacher, taking care of, sustaining, preparing human beings for the future. That is what one attribute we learn through examining and how do you say, seeing the reality that the creator of the universe speaks and His speech demonstrates that he is an educator. He is an educator. That's what I got from the first. I'm sorry. I really, how do you say, went out of my sphere of right to speak. I'm sorry for wasting your time.
That was very valuable. Please don't be sorry. This was great, actually, got us excited. Wow, it's like in terms of knowing how vast the resources that are available to us also to really understand the speech of God and ascertain really what this universe points to. It's vast, and a lot of it because of our ignorance. I don't know, and I think, and it's good to know also that how we are all being prepared here in terms of communicating and connecting with the speech of the creator of the universe, really to better educate ourselves and train our spirit for after graduation from this universe. And it's what was striking also to me was this part about God's dominicality, which definitely I hear it a lot about Rububiyyah, but we have to expand or extend this meaning in terms of the other qualities that we see really within ourselves and outside ourselves in terms of the educator God. I've never, made that connection with this thing, with this concept. So thank you. Does anybody else want to share something? Okay. So it's so it's a requirement of God's dominicality. So as the educator of my spirit, the trainer of my spirit, that he endows all of his conscious creatures with speech. So we're given the ability to speak, to communicate, understand the speech, and then participates in it with his own speech. I was a little bit wondering about this last piece. So let me ask my friend here, what do you understand from this last part?
Which last part?
What I highlighted, you can see. It's
that participates in it with his own speech.
Mm-hmm.
Just like human beings have the ability to speak, and we understand each other. Mm-hmm. Right now, we're discussing a few things. Mm-hmm. There's a communication goes back and forth. So the requirement of a teacher is that you must first provide that the conscious beings the ability to be able to comprehend, communicate. All those things are necessary, and whatever you speak must be understandable. And then participates in it with his own speech. So that's where his speech that he gives in this condescension that is coming to me is basically his communication to conscious beings who have the ability to understand the speech. Okay, thank you. Yes, so that makes more sense now. So the two-way communication that's happening between me and the source of my existence, and hence the participation in it with his own speech, because I'm equipped with all the tools that are given by him. Okay, does anybody else want to add a little something here? Or anything? Okay. So let's move on to the next fruit. Oh, it's a truth. There's a hand up. There's a hand up? Oh, go ahead, Brother Ali.
If someone I understand, I know there are some people among us, maybe all of you are interested in the root word of Rabba. Rab. It is disputed among the scholars. One option is Ra B, elif ba, with shette on it, Rabbe. Now, when it is used in this Rabbe, is it means to master. For example, to be the master of a slave, for example, or not the I am mastering something really. I am becoming really overwhelmingly or dominant over a subject. I covered all of them. This kind of meaning is ra, b with a shedda, rabbe. But there is another opinion there. It is a rububiyya comes from rabbe and rububiyya. So to get from Lord, Rab, to rububiyya, you have to go back to the root ra, bi, ya. So yeah. So when you use this one, Rabba and Rabba, then it becomes it is the source of terbiyah, which means educate, If you use it with Rabba only with wow, it means to increase. That is why riba, interest, comes from. So it is disputed. So you can, some scholars emphasize on the importance of being the master of the universe. Some scholars on the importance of being the taking care of side of God's action, which is maybe you can say sustaining, preparing, educating, and at the same time being the master of the world, Rabbul Alameen. He is the everything is under his dominion, under his control. But this dominion and control is not like a king, maybe like a king, but this king is the one who educates people, prepares everything they need, prepare the people for their education, help them to increase their potentialities and develop their potentialities into certain areas of qualities. So all these meanings are included in the word of Lord, Rabbah. So you can use it, Rabb as a Lord, educator, sustainer, taking care of, maintainer, or owner, dominant over everything. There are many meanings possible. This is just a technical for those who are interested in it. I'm sure you are all in touch with the Quran and trying to learn it. It is better that a word may have different root and different meanings, but why the Quran uses a word in such a way that you can go back to its root either to this or to that? Because again, the Quran scholars accept that every possibility you go to the root is meant to be there in the Quran. When it is not clarified in any way in the whole text of the Quran, it means you can take either this root and develop a meaning alongside this root, or the other one and develop another meaning, or combine them. Usually in Islamic literature, they tend to combine them unless somebody takes strict side in one sense only. These are individual choices. Thank you very much.
Alhamdulillah, that was amazing. Thank you. Yeah, so many qualities that we experience here, even when we say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, the creator of the universe, but our consciousness should expand to the sustainer, the educator, my owner, the one who's taking care of everything around. So, wow, that's amazing. Any comments from anyone? Okay, so yeah, the second, we can move on to the second then. The second, the one who, in order to make himself known, fills the cosmos with his miraculous creations and endows them with tongues speaking of his perfections. And endows them with tongues speaking of his perfections, will necessarily make himself known with his own words also. Wow, this is really amazing. I think it's just now further emphasizing on the point we started off with, from the act of creation I conclude a necessarily existent one, then from the speech of the creator of the universe as revelation, it really permeates my whole being, and I can really be convinced that I'm being trained here, educated, I'm being sustained, and wow, this is it's, I think, helping to hammer in on those points. But let's just see if anyone else wants to add anything here or say something.
I think it's good.
Okay, so the third, it is a function of his being creator to respond in words to the supplications and offerings of thanks. It is a function of his being creator to respond in words to the supplications and offerings of thanks that are made by the most select, the most needy, the most delicate, and the most ardent among his beings, true man. So, yeah, if your hunger is given, then the more you recognize this need of hunger, and the more you acknowledge it, and when you are satiated with the sustenance available from the same source of existence, then this acknowledgement response is also a means of confirming and assuring within yourself that the creator of the universe is speaking to you, just as he's speaking to the whole cosmos here and now. Very good third point, but if anyone else wants to add any more to this, go ahead at any time. I really like this third point. It's a function of his being creator to respond in words to the supplications and offerings of thanks that are made by the most select, the most needy, the most delicate, and the most ardent among his being true men. Okay. All right. If no comment, then let's move on to the fourth truth. Go ahead, Brother Ali.
No, very briefly, the first introduces us the condescension of the Lord, if you like, Rububiyyah. The second presents to us making himself known, ta'arruf. It is making himself known so that he makes himself known, I know him, so that the friendship is established through knowing each other. That manifestation of the Rububiyyah, Rabbaniyah, or God being the Rab makes himself known to me and I get to know him through his speech. The third one, I need a lot of things and he is responding in his answer through his speech. So it is a kind of, how do you say, muqabala, responding back. corresponding with me and responding back to me, and then again establishing his relationship between me and himself through his speech. In this way, teaching me how the best Rab he is for me. Okay. Okay, I have to thank him, express my thanks to him, so that when you express your thanks to him, it means your needs are met, satisfied, and you can communicate with him. You can communicate. This is also a condescension of God as being the Rab. I mean, there is no distance between me and my creator. Of course, the essence was definitely endless distance. But as the Quran tells us that as far as the relationship is concerned, getting to know each other, receiving his education, and finding the response within myself to his education, and also making a development, being pleased with him because he always provides what I need. Even the death is what I need. We shouldn't understand that the apparently are not disliked side of creation. What I need, these are all what I need. That's why he is giving to me as a result of his condescension as a Rab. So also this a way of a means of communicating with my creator. I think the third one is just mutual interaction, mukabele, mutual interaction between me and him, the creator. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. That was very interesting. How the steps are going in. So from Rububiyah, condescension of the Lord, to Taruf, making himself known, so the friendship is established now, to Muqabala, as in the expression of the needs and communicating the thanks, really two-way near communication, so it may not feel distant. So this is, interesting. I think great principles to live by, inshallah. And and even death itself. So what are we doing here? We're preparing for death. So the training here is really to acknowledge the source of our existence, and I think looking forward to all the experiences to establish the communication with the source of existence, so we can be really certain of life after graduation from this universe, inshallah. And all right, just checking in to see if anybody wants to add anything. So we can perhaps stop here for today. Okay. So inshallah, next Sunday, we can pick up with the fourth fruit. And if anybody wants to just say anything, feel free to do so. We'll just take in 5 seconds. If not, okay. So we'll pick up from the fourth next Sunday, inshallah. Thank you all for coming in and really sharing out your reflections. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Glory be unto you. We have no knowledge save except that which you've taught us. We have no knowledge save except that which you've taught us. Indeed, you're all knowledgeable, all wise. Wa akhiru da'wahum alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.